Hello everybody, I've been messing around with this Keithley 2015 that's got the display problem with the miscellaneous comma segments that come up when they shouldn't. But previous to that, contacted Tektronix because they used to sell you a new display years ago, and I got a very nice message back fairly quickly, within 2 days I think. And what did they say? They said, sorry, we can't sell you a display, but we will quote you for a service of your unit. I thought, no thank you. I can guarantee that repair would be more than I paid for the meter. So that is not the way to go for me, because I'm just not rich enough. Anyway, I wanted to fix it myself, but unless I can find a new display, I'm fairly doomed, I think. But I've been trying to get my head around this, and it's really hard without any schematics. You get basic information about the power supplies. Apparently for the display it's got a AC supply for the heaters, which I've just established is 8 volts on the vacuum fluorescent. Then there's a 37 volts which is for the display driver, and 5 volt for the logic. But if I found out where that's the display connection, and one of these capacitors here has 37 volts on it. Right, it's really dodgy doing this, but if I look over the meter, we get 36.5, which I'd say is reasonable for 37 volts. But what is more interesting is, if I look at that on the scope, which I will in a minute, extremely noisy. I'll go to the scope, and we're on 1 volt per division on AC coupling, and I want to look at that 37 volts or 36.5 if you like. But if I go on to that connection, and that's what earthly falls off, that's what's floating around on what's supposed to be a 37 volt DC. And what have we got? 4 volts peak to peak of nastiness. Now, I've already done some investigations. If we look down here, and this little chip here is the 37 volt regulator. Power supply comes in from the transformer here. One's for the 8 volts heaters, and one's for the 37 volt, which is unregulated about 50 volts. And that is the capacitor that supplies the chip the pre-regulated voltage. And although I didn't film it, I took this board out and I checked that capacitor, and it's perfect. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Can't remember what it capacitance was, but I think it's 50 microfarad. But ESR was good, so I don't believe there's anything wrong with that. But we've got a noisy signal coming out of that chip, and it doesn't seem to be filtered anywhere along here as far as I can tell, until it gets down into a capacitor there which decouples it to earth. Little ceramic capacitor that decouples it to earth. Yeah, you can just about see it down in there. Lighting's all wrong as usual, everything's all wrong as usual, but that's the 37 volts being decoupled before it goes to the ribbon cable off to the display board. But seems a hell of a lot of noise. Whether that would cause a problem, I don't know. What I think I'd like to do, which is probably highly illegal, is stick a bigger value capacitor from the 37 volts there, which you can just about get to solder on a connection, just connect it down to earth, and see what that does to the noise and the display. So I'm going to have to do all that off camera. It's just too hard working down in that space. So I'll come back to you when I've got a capacitor on there, if I can find one. That is, what should I use? Guess the capacitor. Well, I could go for 10 microfarads if I can find one. Let's have a look and see what I got. Well, isn't that amazing? A brand new 10 microfarads 50 volt capacitor with long legs on it. So that should be ideal, but still it's going to be a challenge. Not burning, not melting anything in the process. I'm going to get that soldered in anyway. Okay, that's the new capacitor floating around in the breeze, but good enough just for testing. Let's get the scope on it, see what that looks like now. Lost me spoke clip. On the positive terminal, and power it up. Well, believe it or not, well, typical of me, I put the capacitor around the wrong way, didn't I? Fortunately, it's still working. Now the capacitor's around the right way. Because I imagine that capacitor was shorting the chip out, which could have been nasty. So if I'd blown the chip, I would have blown it all, basically. Let's have a look at the scope then, see what that looks like now. Well, that is clean. That's what I'd expect to see on a voltage rail. And we're right down at about 100, 200 millivolts of noise. But it's better than that 4 volts that I was getting before. 4 volts peak to peak. So let's clean that up considerably. But I don't know if that would be any advance on what I had before. But I'll have to turn the thing round and see what it looks like. Okay, well I think this is even worse. I can see a comma there, and one there, vaguely. If they are commas, I suppose they are. So I reckon that's worse than it was before, which is most bizarre. You would imagine giving it a clean supply would have made it happier, but obviously it's not very happy with a clean supply. Oh, so where does that leave me? I don't think it leaves me anywhere really. I think I'll just take that capacitor off and see if it does look better without it. Well, that's with the capacitor removed, and I don't think there's any difference. It's still got commas where it shouldn't have. So that didn't basically do anything. That was all futile exercise, wasn't it? I can hardly believe that regulator for 37 volts is faulty, otherwise it wouldn't be producing a fairly reasonable voltage and a fairly stable voltage apart from the noise. But I don't think I can go any further with this. If I could get one of those regulator chips, I could change it. Chances are I can't find one. I might not find one. There's a very good chance it wouldn't make the slightest difference. So it's back to looking for a vacuum fluorescent display. Been searching in various places, but I think it's going to be a hard thing to find. So that's about the end of the video. Not much else I can say about it. Bye for now.